Hello students. Today we discuss about Xerosere and Lithosere. The question asked in exam like write a detailed note on Xerosere and Lithosere. So previous video we talk about the hydroseres. So what is succession? Succession is the process of development of new community in the environmental area. So this succession, the the beginning of the succession at various points. On that, there are differentiate in the hydroseres or Xeroseres and lithoseres. So a hydroseres, that means the succession of the process of succession is takes place with the optimum or in the aquatic life, and Xerosere is nothing but the process of succession will start with the optimum supply of the water. So move towards Xeroseres. The process of succession on bark rock surface which can hardly sustain any life as it is devoid from nutrients and waters. So Xerosere, that means the succession of or the succession will be start in xeric condition, or the succession will be start on the rocky surfaces. The conditions are extremely adverse as there is no soil for anchorage of plants, temperature is high and light is intense. As you know, in the xeric conditions, or in on the if the life is or a plant is start their community on the rocks, so there will be very adverse climatic condition. That means there will be no soils. In xeric condition, temperature is always high and light is very intense. So it is followed by the following phases. So how the succession will be start, or succession will be happening on the xeric condition, we have discussing next. So in this xeric succession or Xeroseres, the first phase is the crustose lichen. So the thalloid form of crustose lichen like Rygocarpon, Rhinodini, Lecunura are the pioneers which grow to the rock surface and go under adverse conditions. The rate of growth of such a lichens is very poor, and in response to its low rate of metabolism. So in adverse condition, the thalloid form of crustose lichens community is pioneered on the rock surface, and they will be grow in adverse conditions. So the growth of these crustose lichens are very poor, and the rate of metabolism is also lower. As the crustose lichens grow, they liberate carbon dioxide in respiration, which combines with water to form the carbonic acids. The carbonic acids thus formed corresponds on rock surface, and or they be rock surface and adds to the process of weathering. The impact of crustose lichens on rock is imperceptible immediately. However, the cumulative effect over a period of few years is released by accumulation of some soil around the crustose lichens. So, in crustose lichens, these are the first pioneer community on the rock surface. These crustose or crustose lichens will grow on the rock surface under the adverse conditions, and they will be grow very slow and with the poor rate of metabolism. But these lichens are liberate this carbon dioxides, and if this carbon dioxide is combined with the water, they form the carbonic acids. So these carbonic acids are on the rock surface, and they form the process weathering. So weathering is nothing but the formation of soil from the rocks. So after a few years, these carbonic acids or due to the weathering, the some accumulations of soil is takes place around these crustose lichens. Then after crustose lichen or soil formation, there is the second community is developed on that. There is the foliose lichen. The species of lichens like Parmelia, Dermatocarpon, Umbilicaria, etc. are erect leafy lichens which have an anchorage in little soil and built up by the crustose lichen. So after the formations of soil, the uh, the leafy lichens will be grow on that environment. For example, Parmelia, then Dermatocarpons, Umbilicoria, and they will be literally anchored with these soils. The erect growing branches and leafy thallus of foliose lichens has comparatively higher rate of metabolism and capturing the wind band or soil particles and water vapors. The process of weathering is accelerated. A thin film of soil is established. As a result of the activity of foliose lichen, moss stages appear. So, after the formation of these foliose lichens, the growing and metabolism rate of this lichen is comparatively higher. So, these foliose lichens will capturing the soil particles as well as the water vapors. So, ultimately the weathering process will be faster, and these foliose lichens will develop the thin films of the soil, and on this stage there is the moss or mosses stage are appeared on that environment. Then third is the moss stage. So species of mosses like Polytrichum, Torcula, Grimia, etc. are occupy soil formed by the moss stage. So in foliage lichen they forms the very thin film of soil. So on that the mosses community will be developed on their soils. So their root system extend into the substrate and contribute to the process of weathering of the rock. So in the mosses, they develop the root system, and this root system will be substrate or penetrate on these rocks, so the ultimately the weathering of rocks will be faster. The tuss of grasses and herbs growing on such a habitat widen the cracks and crevices. The addition of dead organic matter add the humus content in the soils. So in the moss stage, some grasses and herbs are grow on that rocky surface, and they will be make the cracks or crevices on that rocks, and additionally some dead organic material and add to this humus content in the soils. So after the formation of humus or the dead organic matters in the soil, the next community will develop on its environment, that is the herbaceous stage. The seeds of some annual herbs and grasses germinated in the soil formed by the moss stage. Their root system extend into the substrate and contribute to the process of weathering of rocks. Tufts of grasses and herbs growing on such a habitat widen the cracks and crevices. The addition of dead organic matters add the humus content in the soil. So after the moss stage, some herbaceous plants are grow on that environment. These herbaceous plants are extend their root system on these rocky surfaces, and ultimately they will be helpful in the process of weathering of rocks, and they form the or additionally in that environment they form some organic matters and humus also. Then the next stage is the shrub stage. So the habitat which has been considerably modified by herbaceous stage, invaded by the few shrubs in the initial stage. The root system of the shrubs corrodes the rocks under the soil. The herbaceous flora disappear because the cells of as more organic matter accumulated on the soil and rate of evaporation from the soil is arrested, conditions become more favorable for the growth of trees. So due to these shrub plants, these shrubby plants, the root systems are well developed. So these roots are arrested the soils and they become uh, due to these shrub plants, some herbaceous flora are become the disappear due to the shades. So on that place, these shrub plants will be accumulated. They accumulated organic matter in the soils, and they can ultimately arrest the soils by the roots, well developed root system, and due to these favorable conditions, some the growth of the trees will happening in this environment. Then the next or final stage, that is the forest stage. A few stunted widely spaced trees make their appearance. The process of soil weathering and formation is accumulated slowly. The tall trees grow denser to eliminate sun-loving shrubs and herbs. The herbs and shrubs adapted to form humid conditions and shade grow on floor of the forest. The study of hydroseers and xeroseres reveals that the so in the forest stage what's happening, the few stunted widely spaced trees make their appearance. So they So, due to these trees plants, the soil weathering and formation of the soil process will be slowly happening, and on that environment, the tall trees are grows, and ultimately, जो short जो they will be eliminate the short herbs and shrubs. So these herb and shrubs adapted to humid conditions and shade grows on floor of the forest. So the study of hydroseers and xeroseres reveals that the succession initiates on habitat with suboptimum supply of the water. Respectively, as it proceeds, the habitat becomes progressively drier and moisture under hydras and xeraj respectively. So every wave of community that appears on the sites grow rapidly and declines. If the immensely modifies the habitat and renders it unsuitable for its continuation, but the more responsible to the succession. So, in this hydroseers or xeroseers conditions, we have to reveals that the optimum supply of the water and the succession will be start, and this succession is also appeared, grows rapidly and then declines. So these modifications or modifies the habitat, then they will be unsuitable for that community. So in this way the succession will be takes place. So in today's lecture I have talked about the lithosphere and or xerosphere. So lithospheres, that means and xerospheres, that means the succession of process will be start with the rocky surfaces, and in different adverse conditions like no soils, temperature will be high and light will be intense, the community will be developed. So first community on the rock surface is the crustose lichen. Crustose lichens are the thalloid forms lichens, and they can grow on this rock surface. They have very low rate of metabolism, but due to the liberations of the carbon dioxide, and this carbon dioxide combined with the water, the carbonic acid will be formed. These carbonic acids corresponds to the weathering of the rocks. The weathering is nothing but the formation of rock to the soil. So this is the initial stage. The formation of some soil around this crustose plant. The next community, that is the foliose lichens, will be grow on that conditions. So foliose lichens is nothing but the species like Parmelia, Dermatocarpon and Umbilicaria. So these foliose lichens are the leafy thallus, and comparatively the high rate of metabolism on that plants, and they will be captured wind soil particles and also the water vapors. So they developed the thin film of soil on the rock surfaces. So due to this thin layer of the soils, the some mosses plants or moss community will be developed on that environment. So third stage is the moss stage. So these mosses develop their root system on that environment, and ultimately they will be increases the process of weathering. Due to this formation of the uh, uh, high content or organic or humus content soil, some herbaceous plants are grow on that habitat. These herbaceous plants are having such a grasses and herbs, so they can be helpful for cracking the rocks, and they form the crevices of the rocks. So ultimately the dead organic materials and humus contents will be rich on this soil. So next community, that is the shrubs, are developed on this highly humus content soil. These shrubs plants are well developed root systems, and they also corresponds the or accumulated the process of weathering. So due to these shrubs, some small plants like herbs and grasses will be disappear. And after the shrub stage, the soil will be very rich with humus, and they will be arrested the soils, and ultimately the in the more favorable conditions is developed for the forest stage. So next community is the forest stage, or forest or large trees plants are developed, and this is also the climax stage of this succession. So on this stage the tall trees are grows, and some and जो eliminates the small shrubs and herbs. And on this condition the forest stage will be developed. So in this way the succession will be happens in the Xerosere conditions. Now I hope all of you are understood this Xeroseres. Like hydroseres, in hydroseres life will be formed from the aquatic systems, and in the xeric condition the succession will be start from the rocky surfaces. This is the main difference between the hydroseres and Xeroseres. So now I stop here.